Hey guys, what's up? SAgeek here with another Pokemon GO video. Now, I'm sure you've seen on YouTube that a lot of the Pokemon GO content has been drying up while we wait for Niantic to release another update. So while that's going on, I figured I'd cover a topic that is sort of a bit taboo and that hasn't been covered, and this is very much a explainer for people who do not understand the more technical aspects of how people actually cheat in the game, and I'm going to try and cover that as well as I can. I've got to say, if you expect to get tips on how to cheat or tips on how to bot or spoof in this video, you're at the wrong place. You can stop watching now. But let's get into it. I will be covering what is botting, what is spoofing, what is an alt account, why these things ruin the game, what Niantic has done to combat this, signs that you've been the victim of a botter or a spoofer, what can and probably will get your account banned, and then also what technically won't get your account banned but might be a bit douchey. So let's get into what is botting. Botting is any system that automatically plays for the player. So it is literally an AI playing Pokemon Go for you. How they generally do this is you either get a GUI, a graphic user interface, or a command line interface bot that you leave running at home while you go to work. These things can get an account to go from level 1 to level 20 in less than a day. This is how there was very quickly level 30 accounts in the game taking over gyms when it was near impossible for a normal player to actually reach that unless you play 16 hours a day and constantly run lucky eggs and incense. That is botting. What is spoofing? Spoofing is falsifying your GPS location. To understand the difference between the two, you can spoof without botting, but you can't bot without spoofing. But this is all still cheating and should not be done. So this is using an app that tricks your phone into thinking you're in Japan so you can catch a Farfetch'd, or that you're in Sydney so that you can catch a Kangaskhan, or to spoof to locations where it's hard to get to a gym and you know that you can hold the gym for long. Anytime you falsify where you are in the world to get an advantage in Pokemon Go, that is spoofing, and this is also against the terms and conditions and will get your account banned. Now, what is actually the difference between the two? Botting is a lot harder to achieve because generally these things run on a desktop machine. Spoofing can be done via a desktop machine, an emulator, or even a rooted Android or jailbroken Apple device. A bot can run fully autonomously, where spoofing actually requires human interaction. So does this make spoofing less wrong? Not really, because cheating is cheating. If you cheat a little bit or cheat a lot, you're still a cheater, it's still wrong. So botting, spoofing. Next form of cheating is, the method is known as an alt account. Now, an alt account stands for alternate account, in which the player has a secondary or even tertiary, however many accounts, 15, 20 accounts. And these accounts are used to help the main account. Now, generally these accounts are created via botting, but it can also be just someone gets bored and starts a new account and keeps playing, and then eventually they use this to pump up their main account. Now, the easiest example of this is, let's say your main account is Valor and your alt account is a Instinct account. The player goes to a level 10 Valor gym, uses the Instinct account to knock it down just so that the first Pokemon falls out, and then they level it up again with their Valor account to make it a level 10 gym and place something in the top spot. Now, what this does is, instead of actually leveling a gym up from 40,000 to 50,000 prestige, is a lot harder than taking a 50,000 prestige gym down by 500 prestige and then just leveling it up again. This is a way to quickly get into a high level gym without doing much work. Now, is this cheating? Yes, because it's against Niantic's terms of use or terms of service, because you're not supposed to be using more than one account and it could potentially get both accounts banned. That being said, I have met people, yes, in person, who are on separate teams and employ the strategy. So I met a couple, one is in Valor, one is in Instinct. They can use the strategy to take down gyms and level it up again. It's not cheating in that sense, it's just super douchey to your own team. So those are sort of the main forms of cheating. And why does this ruin the game? Besides the fact that bot accounts can easily reach level 30 in one day, something that it takes most players 6 months, it demoralizes people who actually play the game legitimately. I've worked really hard in 6 months to get to level 32. I've worked really hard to complete my Pokedex, but someone can very easily, with a computer account or computer program, just do this in 1 day, 2 days. And it's generally because these bot accounts also run in areas that have much better spawns. They get much better mid-level Pokemon, much better high CP Pokemon. They have 10 Dragonites, 10 Snorlaxes, because they can jump from location to location to get these good accounts or get these good Pokemon. And now by locking real players out of the gyms in order for them to get coins, the actual players will get fed up and they might quit the game. Spoofers are similar in the fact that they demoralize other players who feel their legitimate efforts don't count. Spoofing to take a gym, spoofing to catch a rare Pokemon or even a region exclusive defeats the whole purpose of the game. We're supposed to get outside, supposed to travel, explore. I'm proud of the 6 Tauros I caught while I was in Canada. I remember encountering every one. The just joy and excitement of seeing this thing spawn on your app and going, finally I caught one. It's one of my highlights in the game, and now imagine that being taken away from you because some game ruiner decides, oh no, he wants a Tauros, spoofs to New York. Now he wants a Kangaskhan, spoofs to Brisbane, whatever. These guys just demoralize and annoy real players. Spoofing to take down gyms or spoofing to snipe or defend gyms do the same thing. It makes people feel that legitimate efforts don't count. Some people argue that they spoof out of necessity because they live in a rural area or they're not as mobile. Lance Armstrong's cheated out of necessity. Look where it got him in the Tour de France. Cheating is cheating. Now, what has Niantic done to combat this? Now, some of you may have heard of the term ban wave floating around. Niantic doesn't immediately ban suspicious activity or reported players. The information first needs to be monitored and verified, and generally this happens in the form of a multi-account ban. They don't ban accounts one by one. They make a whole list of them, and on a specific date the ban flies out and a lot of accounts get banned. I met up with players of a certain team. I won't mention the team, but a few months ago in my region there were 2 specifically dominant teams, and suddenly one of the dominant teams has fallen out. I met a player from one of those dominant teams, and he said that he knows for a fact that a whole bunch of the guys that used to control the gyms were botters and spoofers, so their accounts got banned, and now suddenly one team is completely out of the picture in my area. Besides this, they don't just rely on reports though. Every time you get annoyed that they are forcing you to update your version of Pokemon GO, they do it with a reason. One, it's to ensure that everyone has the same code and assets needed for new features to be released, and 2, to also lock down the API. The API or application program interface is a sort of very basic way to explain it. It is the key to Niantic servers. It allows programmers to send and receive data from the servers, thus being the final piece in the puzzle to actually create a bot account or a bot program. Every game update introduces a new version of the API that can be monitored from Niantic's side. When bots access the server on a outdated API, it gets flagged and these accounts are most likely going to get banned in the next ban wave. While not proven, I'm pretty sure Niantic also tracks the details of your device, specifically the UUID or the Universal Unique Identifier. This is information that allows them to know how many people are playing on iPhone, how many people are playing on Android, how many people are playing on a Samsung Galaxy S6, how many people are playing on iPhone 5. It's all this information that at the end of the day might become useful for marketing later. But when a player logs into a bot account from the same device as their primary account, the server will pick up that this specific unique universal identifier or UUID has been associated with 6, 7, 25 Pokemon GO accounts. And this, of course, is a bit dodgy, and this might get flagged for deletion or banning. In order to combat the spoofing situation, they've blocked jailbroken iDevices as well as rooted Android devices, as these devices are a lot easier to spoof on. Generally, if your phone is not rooted or jailbroken, you can't fake your GPS location, and that's why Niantic has banned this, much to the chagrin of a lot of players who just prefer having a rooted phone, but not for cheating. Now, the signs that you've been the victim of a bot or spoofer is as follows. A spoofer generally is when a gym near you is taken down or actually prestiged up, but there is no one within visible range. This is a good chance that you are the victim of a spoofer. In urban areas, this is harder to spot as they may be in buildings, but in open areas like the Radloff Park near me, there is line of sight for days when it comes to the gym. If that gym goes up or goes down and you can't see anyone near it, it's probably being spoofed. Generally, when spoofing down a gym, the spoofer will actually leave the gym empty, also known as a white gym or team grey or anything like that, with the hopes that someone from their team will take the first spot. After someone joins the gym, the spoofer will then take the second or third spot, making it harder to tell who the spoofer is. Now, I'm not saying all white gyms or team grey or whatever it's called are spoofed gyms. A lot of players take down gyms and leave them blank just as a bit of a chest thump to other teams, really. Botters will normally use a very automated process that creates very random computer-like names. Basically, if there's a clear pattern to the names or it's complete gibberish, it's most likely a bot. These accounts you'll generally see occupy the same gym with similar usernames, and all the Pokemon just happen to be a 3000 plus CP Dragonite or a 3000 plus Snorlax or any massively tanky Pokemon. If you see someone with 10 of these in 10 gyms with very similar usernames, it's probably going to be a bot account. Now, to understand what can and probably will get you banned, it's safe to say anything that logs into your Pokemon Go account that is not the official Pokemon Go app might get you banned. A while ago, a lot of people were using IV raters and bulk tools that required you to log into the account. So these things would either rename your Pokemon based on the IV or it would rate your IV, but anything that required you to log in via a third-party application sent out a ban wave, which a lot of people lost their accounts and they didn't even realize that this was technically a form of cheating. But to be safe, anything that is not Pokemon Go that requires you to log into your account will get you banned at some point. What won't get you banned? Sniping gyms is a douche move, yes, but it is not bannable unless you're spoofing, obviously. If you're busy prestiging a gym and you can see a guy lurking around, he's standing there, as soon as that spot opens, he takes it. That's being a douchebag, yes. Cheating, no. So it might get the guy some hate, but it is not anything that can get them banned. Similarly, there are certain websites, sites like pokemongomap.info or Pokefind. They are safe. They might have originally gotten their data from scraping, but they do not require you to log into your account, so they cannot get you banned. Finally, IV estimators like Smart IV on iOS are safe. As long as you don't need to log into your Pokemon Go account, it can't get you banned. An example is Smart IV for iOS, which I'm running here. So everything is ready. I go over to my Pokemon Go account. I choose a Pokemon, so I'll choose my Gyarados. I'll use a screenshot, and it gives me a IV rating of my Gyarados of 95.6. It's using screenshots. It is not logging into my account. It can't get me banned. Okay guys, that's the long and the short of botting, spoofing, and all that jazz. If you want to know anything about these things, I do have a strong technical background. Pop me a comment, I will get back to you. But for now, I'm a South African Geek, signing off.